We did a camera comparison between the Note 7 Pro and the Galaxy M30. Here's the video if you haven't watched it yet. And the comment section of that video was literally flooded with requests for a camera test against the A50, despite the fact that the A50 costs almost 50% more than the Note 7 Pro. So we know the Note 7 Pro is the best camera phone under 15,000. Is it the best under 20,000 as well? Let's find out. Before we begin, let me introduce myself. My name is Ashwin Sundar. This is Technology Jock. Kindly subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon for more videos like this. Now guys, before we begin, let me tell you something. It's no more a secret that your data and privacy while using the internet is not safe. And it's even worse while using public Wi-Fi like hotel Wi-Fi. Everything can be monitored by the government or even a common man. That's why everybody needs to use VPN. And VPN is my personal favorite. All your personal information including location are hidden. Nobody can monitor you no matter what. More importantly, you also get to visit those websites that are blocked by your country's government by just selecting some other country from this list. So go ahead, check out VPN, link is in the description. The 48 megapixel IMX586 sensor on the Redmi Note 7 Pro is capable of pixel binning. It combines every 4 neighboring pixels into one. So the effective resolution is 48 divided by 4, which is 12 megapixels. That's the default resolution. The A50 on the other hand has a 25 megapixel primary camera. But despite the higher resolution, the images captured by it are not as sharp as the Note 7 Pro's images. Don't get me wrong, at 1x or even at 2x zoom, you won't be able to tell them apart. Only when you zoom in further, you'll notice a bit of difference. For example, here the text is quite crisp on the Note 7 Pro's photo. And here, look at the sand. The guy is sitting over there, the pole in between. Everything is a tad sharper on the Note 7 Pro's image. But frankly, that little bit of extra sharpness, that too at 5x or 8x zoom, is not a big deal. The Note 7 Pro also has a 48 megapixel mode in Pro mode, which is supposed to capture more detail, but in my testing, the 48 megapixel photos were just as sharp as the 12 megapixel photos in most cases. In some instances, there was a minor difference. Now, the white balance is kind of inconsistent on the A50. Most of the pictures shot using the A50 are a little bit on the cooler side, as in they're a little bluish. Same here, the color of the sand looks more accurate on the Note 7 Pro's image. Here it's even more obvious. Guys, I know you're thinking about Google Camera, please watch the full video, I have spoken about it. So anyway, when it comes to macro photos, the background blur is stronger on the Note 7 Pro's image. Because it has a large sensor, it's 1 by 2 inches, while the A50 sensor is smaller in comparison. And notice how the reds look oversaturated on the A50's image. Another evidence that the A50 is not the best at color accuracy. Now, surprisingly, the dynamic range is quite similar in most scenarios. In very few challenging situations, like this one, the Note 7 Pro exhibits better dynamic range. Look at the yellow painting on the wall behind this tree. On the A50's image, you can't see any of it. The green doors below that are also partially blown out. Here, once again, on the A50's image, the sky is completely blown out, but the Note 7 Pro retains a bit of orange. Same here. The dynamic range of the Note 7 Pro's image is excellent. Guys, if you don't understand photography terms like aperture, dynamic range, highlights, shadows, and how sensor size is related to image quality, etc., then please watch this video. I've explained everything in very simple terms. I received a ton of comments from people on how useful the video was to them. So I guess you will have a thorough understanding of everything. Don't think it's a long video because once you watch it, you will understand every bit of detail in all camera reviews and comparisons. Under low light, in many instances, the A50 is almost as good as the Note 7 Pro. I'm really surprised. But in some cases, you can notice a difference, especially when you zoom in. The Note 7 captures more detail. Anyway, despite how close the competition is, I'm still gonna give this one to the Note 7 Pro because it has a dedicated night mode and the results are extraordinary. It really enhances the amount of details in the frame. Just look at the difference. And in extremely dark scenarios like this, it creates a brighter image overall. Well, there's also a lot of noise in some photos, but it's still better than having extremely dark images. Now moving on to the secondary camera, both phones have a 5 megapixel depth sensor for portrait mode. Samsung calls it live focus images. Here are a few comparisons. In this comparison, the Note 7 Pro's portrait is a lot sharper, but it's also too warm. Let's zoom in and see. On the A50's portrait, a part of my face is blown out. In other samples, there's a minor difference in sharpness, but otherwise they are more or less similar. But if I have to pick a winner, then I'd go with the Note 7 Pro because it has these additional fancy features like light trails and studio lighting. Now the Galaxy A50 also has a third camera, which is an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera. In good lighting conditions, the quality is quite good. Of course, zooming in will make it look kinda bad, and under low light it actually becomes worse. But let's not forget, this is the only phone in this price segment to offer a decent ultra wide angle camera. The M30 also has one, but it's just 5 megapixels. Anyway, my advice is avoid using this camera unless you absolutely need to capture a wide scene, especially under low light. For selfies, the Note 7 Pro has a 13 megapixel camera and the A50 has another 25 megapixel camera. And the differences between them are not the result of the difference in megapixels, they are rather dependent on how the selfies are processed by the software. First off, despite having a lower resolution camera, the Note 7 Pro captures selfies that are as sharp as, if not sharper than the A50 selfies. But the skin tones don't look natural on the Note 7 Pro selfies. It's a bit too orangish in my opinion. The A50 isn't perfect either. I can see a bit of pink on my face. Okay, I should stop being too fussy. I think they're alright, not bad at all. But the dynamic range is noticeably better on the A50 selfies. Look at the background. The clouds in the sky are clearly visible on the A50 selfie. Under low light they are pretty similar, but when it's pitch dark, I found the A50 selfies to be noticeably brighter. Now both the phones can also shoot portrait selfies, and here the A50 selfies look far better. In terms of sharpness and edge detection, both phones are equally good, but overall, the A50 exhibits excellent dynamic range. Just look at the background. So overall, the A50 selfie portraits look very pleasing to the eye. The Note 7 Pro is capable of shooting 4K videos at 30 frames per second. The A50 is capped at 1080p 30 fps. Important thing to note, autofocus is extremely fast on the Note 7 Pro. Now, although it's 4K versus 1080p, the difference in sharpness is not very noticeable. The Note 7 Pro's video exhibits slightly better color reproduction and dynamic range. Look at the trees. They all look brighter and slightly more vibrant. Both the A50 and the Note 7 Pro have support for EIS, Electronic Image Stabilization, at 1080p resolution. On the Note 7 Pro, there is no EIS at 4K. And do note that there is support for 1080p 120fps slow-mo video on the Note 7 Pro, while the A50 can shoot slow-mo at 720p 240fps. Higher frame rate but lower resolution. So, final verdict. The Galaxy A50 is the winner when it comes to selfies. And then there's the advantage of having an ultra-wide angle camera as well. But for everything else, the Note 7 Pro is better, especially when you compare the primary cameras. The A50 comes really close in almost 70% of the scenarios, but given that it costs 50% more than the Note 7 Pro, coming really close is definitely not enough. And it's also worth noting that the Note 7 Pro has a fully fledged Pro mode, including control over shutter speed, which can go up to 32 seconds. So if you know how to use these settings, you can create some amazing images. If you watch that basic camera terms video, you would definitely be able to use the Pro mode to its full potential. Link is in the description. And guys, I did not forget about Google Camera. The thing is, both phones have Camera2 API enabled by default. But I tried installing several versions of Google Camera on the A50, but none of them worked. On the Note 7 Pro, I was able to install many versions, but there is something wrong with image processing. The images are not sharp at all. The colors are also very dull, they look washed out, and night sight is not very consistent. In some cases it works well, but most of the time it's not doing anything. So for now, the stock camera is better than the Google camera, sadly. But guys, I will keep trying new versions of Google Camera, and if any of them works well, I'll come up with the stock camera versus Google Camera video. I already did a similar video for the Redmi Note 7, the Chinese variant with 48 megapixel Samsung sensor. Check that out if you're interested. But when it works, I'm sure the Note 7 Pro will be a lot better camera phone overall. So that's it. What are your thoughts on the verdict? Let me know in the comment section. And if you want to see any other video, say a speed test, tell me that as well. I'll try to make it happen. Hit the like button if you found the video useful, subscribe to Technology Jock, and more importantly, hit the bell icon for more videos. Thank you so much for watching. This is Ashwin Sundar, and I'll see you in my next video. Have a great day.